Hello and welcome to a special episode of the Regen Racing Podcast. I'm your host Dean, and I'm here with a special guest, Sophie Barker. How are you doing, Sophie?
Hi, I'm really good, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Brilliant. That's no problem at all. So, tell us a little bit about yourself. How did you get into motorsport, and what you do, and what draws you to the paddock?
I'm 16. I'm 17 in 3 weeks, and really, I do a lot of PR, media, some journalism, mostly in the British touring car paddock with Renault Cup. I used to do a bit with British Formula 4 and the drivers who were on their way up to Formula 1. So the paddock is it's so nice. It's really like a family mentality. So everyone knows everyone, and you really do end up getting quite drawn into it, and you really don't want to leave once you turn up for race weekends. In terms of getting involved in racing, my dad used to race karts and rally cars when he was 13, so around about when he was mid to late 20s. So I've had a lot of stories in the paddock, and I've been brought up around racing, and he's always been really interested in Formula One. He loves Formula E. So yeah.
Brilliant. And so, with the karting, has that been a lot of travelling, or?
Well, he stopped the karting before he turned 20, and he did it as well. Over here, we have a British Schools Karting Championship. He did it as the rather old-fashioned version of that because he was three times champion from 94, 95, and 96 in three different categories.
Oh wow! Oh, that's really cool. Nice. Very, very cool. Your family and friends watch quite a bit of motorsport then? Any particular series?
Really only my dad watches it. My mum's been to Silverstone for Formula One, but they're not really interested on the level that I am. I mean, my dad will watch pretty much every series there is, but a lot of my friends aren't actually that interested.
Hmm. Yeah, I'm pretty much the same, I think. I think Nath is the only person that I know, apart from my parents, who big, big supercar fans who actually watch motorsport or even know about Formula E. So it's kind of cool that they actually are a little bit invested in it, I guess. So moving to Formula E, which is what we mainly focus on the Regen Racing podcast. Are you going to be attending or plan to attend any of those races this year?
Yes, I'm planning on going to the Paris E-Prix, which would be my first actual Formula E race because I did the day at testing at Donington in 2016. But obviously, because we haven't had a British E-Prix in about 2 years now, I haven't actually been able to attend anything. And I'm also hoping to maybe do Berlin as well.
That's really cool. I saw a picture of you. It might have been on social media or on your website. I can't remember which, but had a picture with Felix Rosenquist and a few others. How cool was that?
Yeah, it was amazing. The whole day at Donington was insane. There was just so much. It was so open, and you were able to talk to the drivers with no problems. And I walked past Jean-Eric Vergne getting a burger from one of the stands, and it's such a good way of just showing that they're also human and that they aren't, these superhero athletes that we shouldn't be talking to during the day or anything.
Yeah, I guess a lot of people do put them on a pedestal, but yeah, I think same as celebrities, they just wanna live their life, and this is what they do for a job. It's interesting. So Formula E season 4. Do you have a favorite team, and any, I guess, favorite drivers, or tracks?
So pretty much since the first race, I have been a pretty big Daniel App and Apt Audi fan that has stayed exactly as that since the first season. And I'm a pretty big fan of Berlin Tempelhof.
Yeah, that's a cool one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's It's quite a wide track as well. A lot of overtaking, and you can. I think this year there was cars like 3 and 4 wide going into the big sweeping corner or the hairpin. I can't remember which one, but it was really cool to see.
Yeah, definitely.
And what do you think of the new Audi car?
I love it. As soon as the whole concepts for the Gen 2 car came out, I was in love with it. I think it's integrated the halo so nicely and it makes everything just look so much more aesthetically pleasing.
Yeah, I think, the Formula One cars, it looks a bit bolted on, whereas it's been designed around it, and it just looks sleek. The livery, I think, got revealed today or yesterday for Audi. I love it. I think it's even better than what they had season 4 for the Gen 1 car. It's amazing. Have you seen it?
Yeah, I have. I think it looks so futuristic.
Yeah. I think I quite like the BMW Andretti one with the blue and white that's kind of different on both sides. It kind of mirrors.
Yeah, yeah.
That's really cool. Very good. We are obviously big Mitch Evans fans, but I quite like Luca Filippi, and it was unfortunate to see him lose his drive. Who would you like to see in that seat, or I mean, who would you like to see in the series?
That's a very interesting one, but I think maybe Stoffel Van Dorn or Esteban Ocon if they're not able to get Formula One drives. I think they would fit really well into the series.
It would be cool for Virgin Racing if he was partnering Sam Bird. I think they'd work really well together. I also had a little bit of a hope that Oliver Turvey would get the Virgin Racing drive, just to see what he could do. So, Sophie, what do you think about the new Formula E Season 5 regulations? Do you think they'll help with the racing, or are you a bit on the fence with them taking out pit stops and other bits and pieces?
I'm a little bit on the fence about it because as much as I enjoy Formula E, quite a lot of it can come off as gimmicky, and I can understand it does appeal to a wider audience, but it's going to be quite interesting to see, especially the new drivers, try and make a car last right the way until the end, because normally they'll be the first into the pit stops, and I think it'll be quite interesting just to see where the new regulations are actually going to take the series.
Yeah, I'm a bit gutted actually about the timed races. I actually like to see a lap counter. I'm not sure how they're gonna do that. So the race length is 45 minutes now, so it's gonna be a bit different having the cars just. It's gonna be the ultimate test in energy and saving it for the last lap. What do you think about that as opposed to a lap counter?
I'm with you on that one. I definitely prefer a lap counter because I think it's more helpful for viewers as well, especially new viewers. So, and even for journalists and anyone who's trying to work out, the estimated lap that everyone will pit and things like that.
Yeah, I'm very much in favour of it being a team sport, and I think it takes away from having pit stops. You've got to have the team involved, and I think it's a bit more behind the scenes, and the emphasis is a bit more on the driver, unfortunately. Which, I mean, in some ways is good, but I do like it as a team sport, and I do like the pit stops in Formula One, and I like all the strategic calls and other things that go on as well. So we will see how it's implemented, but yeah, I I've got my reservations. Yeah. The system that they're dubbing Hyper Boost, or Mario Kart mode. Have you played Mario Kart before?
I have, yeah.
Yeah. And Crash Team Racing?
No.
No. Okay. Yeah.
I was trying to figure out if I had or not.
Yeah. Uh, who's your favourite character in Mario Kart?
Ooh.
Are you a Bowser or a Princess Peach?
Tend to swing more towards dry burns.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, very good. The Hyperboost mode, in which drivers will receive an additional 25 kilowatts of power by driving through a designated area of the circuit or off the racing line. This one, a little bit interesting. The duration of the boost mode and the number of boosts available will be decided in advance of a race. So every race is going to be different depending on the layout and length. How do you think they're going to incorporate this one? I like it, but it's kind of, people have been talking about it as a Joker lap or something of the like. Thoughts on this?
It's quite an interesting idea, and I think a lot of it is just Formula E trying to break the mold and be a different and more defining series. And I do think, like I said, it's coming across as a little bit gimmicky, but I think it could work, but it's going to take a little bit of warming to for me.
Yeah, I think as the viewer you'll need to know pretty clearly who's got the boost, and there's a lot more to track as well. I mean, yeah, there's a lot more information to keep track of, I guess, as a viewer, and it might, hopefully won't, alienate new people to the formula. This one I'm not a big fan of. Drivers will no longer be awarded a point for the fastest lap. A bonus point will instead be awarded to the driver who drove the most power efficient race. What does that mean? I guess it's crossing the line with the most power remaining, or it doesn't really go into it too far. Yeah,
It's very vague.
I still think there should be a fastest lap point.
Yeah, I feel like that kind of takes away from the new drivers as well, because they're going to have to take a lot of time to get used to the energy management. And in the past, they might have been able to get at least 1 point by having fastest lap.
Yeah, I think Alex Lynn got pole in his first race. I mean, if you can be fast, then you can score points, but yeah, like you said, it's going to take a while for some of them for sure. Just on that, how do you think Felipe Massa will do?
Um, I think like any new driver to Formula E, it's going to take him a while to get used to it. He was in Formula One for many, many years, and so he's got more of a Formula One mindset of as fast as you can. And in Formula E, sometimes being the fastest isn't the best strategy. So I think he'll be good, but I'm not banking on him being the best.
And were you impressed with Eduardo Mortara last season?
Definitely, I mean, for a first season to be doing so had to be so high up the grid, I think was pretty good for him. Yeah.
Yeah. Continuing to talk about Venturi in the next question. In the last podcast, Nathan and I talked about the testing structure the day after the inaugural Riyadh E-Prix. What are your thoughts on getting more exposure for women in motorsport, and particularly drivers?
I'm a member of Dare to Be Different, which is Susie Wolf's initiative to get more women in any roles in racing. So I'm all for having more exposure to women in racing roles. However, I don't think the whole way that they're going around trying to get more women into the testing roles is the best. It does kind of come across as a little bit forceful and
Right.
almost in a way like I don't overly know how to explain it, but almost like you have to do this if you want more testing sort of thing. I don't think it's going to come across that brilliantly because it does almost feel like bribery towards towards getting more women in your cars.
Yeah, for sure. So several female races are going to be testing on December the 16th, which is the day after the Formula E Championship season opener, and being incentivized. So the teams are being incentivized by offering a second entry into the 6 hours of testing should they confirm a female driver in one of their seats. So Susie Wolf has also alluded to a female driver being part of the Venturi squad in a full-time role in the near future. I think that's quite cool. We talked a little bit about Tatiana Calderon being the Sauber test driver. or development driver. I'm not sure which one of those she is, but there was something on Reddit saying that to be a test driver like that, you'd need to pay them a lot of money and you would only be sitting in a simulator. I think it would be really cool for them to, to get out and get some actual testing experience with different teams in a different formula. What do you think about that?
I really agree, yeah. And I mean, in the first season of Formula E, we did have female drivers, and since then it has dropped off a little bit. But I do think, anyway, to incorporate more women into racing roles in a series such as Formula E is definitely definitely a good thing.
Cool. I quite like Susie Wolf actually. I think that was a really good appointment by Venturi. And if she's anything like Toto, she'll definitely be able to control the team quite well. So Sophie, how can the listeners get in touch with you? So Twitter, website, where can they find all your work?
All my writing and any of my work can be found on sophieonmotorsport.wordpress.com.
Twitter.
And my Twitter is surfonmsport.
Brilliant. Are you doing much in the way of keeping up with the Formula E news, with the reveals and different driver movements these days?
I am, yeah, because I'm writing a bit for Formula E Zone. I'm doing a lot of the research. I actually got invited to Naya's reveal as well.
So, thank you very much for listening, everyone, and thank you, Sophie, for the awesome interview and a bit of background into what you do and what life is like over in England and being able to get in the paddock. And yeah, thank you very much.
Well, thank you for having me. I've really enjoyed it.
Thanks. I'm sure we'll have to get you on again and get some insight into what the Paris and Berlin E-Prix is like next year. Okay, thanks everyone. See ya.